It's Monday, April 20th, 2026, going hot in Iran once again. Trump's new DHS secretary sounds like a left-winger, and what is it about space anyway? Next on the AM Update. President Trump is giving peace and war a chance after alleged ceasefire violations. Talking to Fox News on Sunday morning, he said if the deal isn't done with Iran, the deal that we made, he's going to start taking out their bridges and power plants. If they don't sign the deal, the whole country is going to get blown up. Those remarks came as Trump mocked the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps in a Truth Social post for staking claim to the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. military had already put in place its own blockade. He said, quote, Iran recently announced they were closing the strait, which is strange because our blockade already has it closed. They're helping us without knowing, and they are the ones that lose with the closed passage. $500 million a day. Many ships are already heading to the United States. Trump also told Fox News there is turmoil in Iran over control of the country, which I have seen in spades over the weekend. We'll get into that in just a little bit. Aboard Air Force One, Trump says if there's no extension to the ceasefire, what's going to happen next?
You don't have a deal by Wednesday when the ceasefire ends. Will you extend the ceasefire or will you start attacks again?
Maybe I won't extend it.
Okay.
But the blockade is going to remain. But maybe I won't extend it. So you have a blockade, and unfortunately we'll have to start dropping bombs again.
So President Trump once again remaining maximum flexibility, saying, yeah, the blockade's going to stay intact. The blockade, the U.S. naval blockade of those ships trying to pass in and out of Iranian ports, that remains in place regardless of whether an extension to the ceasefire comes into play. Well, those divisions within Iran are really starting to show themselves. I can tell, at least from what I can tell, following this very closely on social media and a few of the open source intelligence accounts of varying degrees of credibility, but again, piecing these together, trying to use the best discrimination that I possibly can. It does seem like fissures are starting to erupt within Iran. One of those negotiators is Kalibaf. He is the Iranian Speaker of Parliament. He went on state television over the weekend to say this, quote, we are not militarily stronger than America. It's clear they have more money, more equipment, more resources, and because they have carried out so many aggressions around the world, they also have more experience than us. The Zionist regime, which is America's servant and agent of the region, also possesses high power. We fought in an asymmetric war in such a way that with our own design and preparedness, we pushed the enemy back. The enemy had money and resources, but did not correctly act in design. They made mistakes. That is interesting, of course, trying to save face there, saying, yes, we pushed off the Zionist aggressors, but they're also, both Israel and America, more powerful, more resourced, more equipment, more attacks, more experience than us. He's just admitting that on state television. That would be the Speaker of Iran's parliament. But the fissures between the civil government and the IRGC are also coming into play. The head of Iran's parliament's National Security Commission released a statement on President Trump's various claims over the weekend, saying, quote, delivering uranium to America, the complete reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, continuation of the American maritime siege of Iran, and zero enrichment are just part of Trump's April lies and fabrications. Now, on paper, of course, the Iranian parliament's National Security Commission is not necessarily part of the IRGC, but in effect, they kind of are. I've seen various posts from IRGC leadership, purported leadership as well, starting to talk some smack over Foreign Minister Arghachi and some of those who are more keen to make a deal with the West. So it certainly seems like those fissures are starting to show. President Trump over the weekend as well, reminding those reading Israel is a great ally, posting on Truth Social. Whether people like Israel or not, they have proven to be a great ally of the United States. They are courageous, bold, loyal, smart, and unlike others, have shown their true colors in a moment of conflict and stress. Israel fights hard and knows how to win. Back at the White House, the ongoing feud between President Trump and Pope Leo continued on going into the weekend. President Trump was asked,
Iran's going to execute 4 more protesters, reportedly, including the first woman protester. What do you tell Iran?
Well, tell that to the Pope. What do you say? Tell that to the Pope.
You want to patch things up with the Pope?
That is some great messaging there from President Trump. Not directly calling Pope Leo a sellout. I mean, he did that over the weekend as well. I mean, He basically talked a bunch of smack over the weekend as well. But that is some better messaging from Trump on the Pope there. Being asked, hey, Iran says they're going to execute 4 more protesters. What do you tell Iran? And Trump just replies by saying, tell that to Pope Leo. That's some great stuff right there. Pope Leo was also in Africa over the weekend as well, talking about, blessed are the peacemakers. Woe to those who use religion to continue and perpetuate war. Those are taken to mean that he was talking about President Trump and the Americans' operations against Iran. He clarified heading out of the weekend as well that he really doesn't want to get into a public spat with the White House, at least not on a long timeline.
And there's been a certain narrative that has not been accurate in all of its aspects, but because of the political situation created when on the first day of the trip, the President of the United States made some comments about myself. Much of what has been written since then has been more commentary on commentary, trying to interpret what has been said. Just one little example, the talk that I gave at the prayer meeting for peace a couple days ago was prepared 2 weeks ago, well before the president ever commented on myself and on the message of peace that I am promoting. And yet, as it happens, it was looked at as if I was trying to debate again the president, which is not in my interest at all.
So Pope Leo maybe trying to save face there, maybe genuinely trying to get out of the morass of the ongoing public spat between he and the White House, saying it's not in his interest at all to have a public debate. Back at home, President Trump's new Department of Homeland Security Secretary Markwayne Mullin, former Oklahoma senator, was interviewed by Laura Ingraham on the topic of immigration. Listen to this.
Right.
To qualify as asylum.
They take advantage of the United States' generosity, but the problem is that we want immigration. We want legal immigration, people that want to make the country stronger. We're a nation of immigrants. We understand that.
The right kind of immigrants.
But the right kind of...
So what's fundamentally different about what Markwayne Mullin said there from what maybe even a Kamala Harris or more moderate, quote-unquote, moderate Democrat would say about immigration? Or any sort of amnesty sellout Republican. There's really no daylight there at all. We're a nation that we want immigrants. We want legal immigrants. We're a nation of immigrants. These are all left-wing buzzwords to try to justify amnesty. We're not a nation of immigrants or a nation of citizens. Nation of citizens. There's a lot of quote-unquote legal immigrants in places like Texas, where they have hundreds of mosques now. Legal immigrants. Texas, where they tried to erect that statue of Buddha or whatever the Hindu god is. I don't know. Some sort of Hindu god, I think, in Texas. Legal immigrants. Have you looked at Dearborn, Michigan recently? Legal immigrants. There's not much daylight between Markwayne Mullin, at least in that soundbite, and most of the left when it comes to immigration. One of the biggest, I would say, political worldview interviews in recent memory went down on Friday when the Blaze's Allie Beth Stuckey interviewed former hardline right-winger conservative turned very squishy New York Times columnist David French. It was a long interview, a good interview. You should listen to the whole thing. They got into the topic of Texas Democrat Senate candidate James Tallarico. He's the one who has said that God is non-binary. He's the one that basically says the story of Mary and Joseph and Jesus, that's a proof text to say that baby killing is okay. He's just a deceiver, a mocker of God, but he wears Christianity as some sort of a suit. David French and Allie Beth Stuckey talked about James Tallarico, his record, his commentary, and here's what David French has to say.
We're very eager to write people out of Christianity based on their political positions. It's a weird thing to me, and I see this all the time. He can't be a Christian because he's pro-choice. He can't be a Christian.
Tallarico.
He can't be a Christian because
it's because he said that he believes that they're like all religions share truth, share the central truth. Basically,
I'm just really not willing to say that James Tallarico is not a Christian.
So somebody who has said that there's basically nothing distinctive about Christianity, and you just heard David French. He was reminded about those comments, and that is true. That is true. James Tallarico has said that there's truth in all religions. They all lead to the same truth, and that truth is a mystery, which is his way of saying the truth cannot be known. That's James Tallarico. He has said that. He said that to the New York Times, actually. And David French, I'm not sure. I can't not call him a Christian. I'm really uncomfortable with that. If you're unsure about calling somebody who has said that there's nothing distinctive about Christianity at all, if you're uncomfortable calling that person not a Christian, makes me wonder if you are yourself, as David French ironically stipulates there. When we come back, Lauren Boebert, look in the mirror. That's coming up next. In the midst of the ongoing and numerous sex scandals in Congress, Colorado Congresswoman Lauren Boebert was asked her thoughts.
Yeah, go to church, find Jesus. Why is everybody so horny here?
So there's Lauren Boebert, Colorado Congresswoman, on the ongoing and varied and many sex scandals in Congress, saying, go to church, find Jesus. Why is everyone so horny here? Now, this is the same Lauren Boebert who, if memory serves, was kicked out of a theater in Colorado for getting handsy with a man who I believe was not her husband. She made these comments, and I'm not trying to get specific or explicit for effect. But she made these comments. Why is everyone so horny here? Find Jesus. Go to church. She made those comments while wearing a skin-tight dress that was, let's just say, very revealing in the chest region. As she walked away, you could see, it was revealed. She was wearing a skirt, a skin-tight skirt that goes up above her knees. That's just, again, Congress, though, they are not aberrations of the people who voted for them. They're reflections of the people who sent them there. Always has been, always will be. Just ridiculous stuff. Speaking of ridiculous stuff, it's not just contained to certain members of the right. Here is Tim McBride, the dude congressman from, I can't remember what New England state he's from. He goes by Sarah, or tries to go by Sarah, pretends to be a woman. Made these comments over the weekend as well.
Have you thought about a second career as a preacher? I am an ordained elder in the Presbyterian Church,
For real?
so I could serve.
You could do weddings.
I can do well. I'm also ordained in the Universal Life Church, so I can do weddings for both of those reasons. But I also can perform communion.
Okay.
Yeah,
Love that.
Yeah, I know that probably makes some right wingers' heads explode.
Yeah, it does actually. It does, Tim McBride. It makes certain people's head explode. Because you're wearing our religion as a skin suit and joking around about it, while also pretending to be a woman and mocking the Imago Dei, mocking God's design for gender as well. So yeah, that does make our heads explode. Also, this makes my head explode as well. This is the Sodom and Gomorrah section of the AM update this week. This video went viral.
Hey.
It shows two Nashville men.
Who do you want, Dada or Pop?
Two Nashville men who are homosexuals who purchased a baby from a surrogate. They live in Nashville, as I said. They posted this video where one of the men has this baby that they purchased, a baby boy, of course, asking the baby boy, 6 months old, hey, who do you want, Dada or Papa? And the baby babbles and says, Mama. Now, that's not the point here. I've seen it in a lot of big-brained takes. Oh, the baby doesn't know what Mama means. Baby doesn't know what Mama means. No, that's not the biggest problem here. The biggest problem is that two homosexual men, human trafficked, although it's a legal, high-tech form of human trafficked a child, purchased that child, and are now at 6 months old, laughing and mocking that little baby because that little baby doesn't have a mama. That's the problem there. By the way, the man in this video mocking this baby, one of them, his last name is M-C-A-N-A-L-L-Y. 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 Yes, that is real. That is real. Also over the weekend, this video went viral as well. A young man went to do some man-on-street interviews and ran into yet another homosexual couple, if you can call them that, pushing around a baby that they also purchased through a high-tech form of human trafficking known as surrogacy, and asked them a very simple question.
Is your guys' son or daughter? Or?
Son.
Awesome. And are you guys a couple?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. So have you ever heard about the statistics coming out that gay men are statistically much more likely to commit child molestation?
No.
You've never heard about that before?
Crazy, yeah. No.
Yeah. Don't you think it's weird that you guys have a child, but neither of you are a woman?
No.
You don't think that's weird?
No.
So you had a surrogate? You paid a woman $50,000 to be pregnant?
Now, at this point, the other man in this video, the other side of this homosexual twosome, starts to get very irate and angry. Listen.
And build an emotional connection to a baby? Hey, don't take my mic. I'm actually concerned for your baby's safety.
I'm concerned for you.
We are asking you to leave.
One of those homosexual men starts to beat the young man.
Together, you all deserve to be killed for doing
really?
Yeah.
Killed.
Boom, 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 boom.
And then another homosexual, a third one, comes over and tells the young man, I believe his name is Riley Nemi, tells him he deserves to be killed for asking those types of questions, citing those statistics about child abuse, sexual abuse, and homosexuality. This young man gets assaulted. And yes, that's a very bold tactic, but it's bold in a good way, I'd say. Gets assaulted for confronting those homosexuals with statistics. One of those men, man who was seen in the video, I believe this is in California, he has now been arrested and charged. Let's go to a palate cleanser. Let's go back to the crew of the Artemis II mission around the moon. Commander Reed Wiseman opened up late last week, about his experience. He's been relatively silent. Opened up about his experience as they moved further and further away from planet Earth.
On the ship, I'm not really a religious person, but there was just no other avenue for me to explain anything or to experience anything. So I asked for the chaplain on the Navy ship to just come visit us for a minute. And when that man walked in, I'd never met him before in my life, but I saw the cross on his collar, and I broke down in tears. It's very hard to fully grasp what we just went through. And in these short, you just said it's been a week since we've been back, but it's been a week of medical testing, physical testing, doctors, science objectives. We have not had that decompression. We have not had that reflection time. So I'm basing this on what we saw. And when the sun eclipsed behind the moon, I think all four of us, I turned to Victor and I said, I don't think humanity has evolved to the point of being able to comprehend what we are looking at right now, because it was otherworldly and it was amazing.
That is Commander Reed Wiseman of the Artemis II mission talking about his experience seeing Earth from so far away, saying he's not religious, but the only avenue that he could actually express himself or feel any sort of fulfillment in terms of being able to express his emotion was when he saw a cross on a naval chaplain after he got back. What is it about space? What is it? You'll recall, not too long ago, that first all-female Blue Origin rocket to go up. I think Katy Perry was on that. They went up. I think it was low Earth orbit, if even that. Came back down. And you'll recall Katy Perry dropped a line saying what it was like to see the Earth from so far away. And they weren't in deep space, but it was still a view that most people don't get to see in person. She said she had this inkling of the divine feminine when she was up there. Victor Glover, he was, I believe, the pilot, another crew member of Artemis. Featured clips from him multiple times over the past few weeks. He had some of the same inclinations. Hey, as the Earth got smaller and smaller, it became bigger and bigger to me how special the Earth is. Last year we talked about, maybe played a clip of famed astronaut Jim Lovell after he passed away, talking about much the same thing. Same experience. When you see Earth getting smaller and smaller, there's something that cannot be, it just can't be mistaken for anything other than a spiritual experience. Katy Perry, divine feminine, that's her pagan way of describing it. Victor Glover, his Christian way of describing it. Jim Lovell, I don't really know where he is. I would presume that it's Christian. He read scriptures as well. Having an experience, an encounter, a spiritual encounter. And now this Reed Wiseman, who says he's not religious, but he broke down in tears because that was the only thing after he saw the cross, after he got back to planet Earth, after seeing the Earth getting smaller and smaller in deep space. He said he broke down. That was the only way he could express what he was feeling. He did that after seeing the cross. What is it about space that causes this amongst the people, the very few people who get to see the Earth from a unique perspective like that? My working hypothesis is that it is getting punched in the face with general revelation. General revelation is the way God, simply put, the way God reveals himself through nature. However, when we're working on planet Earth, when we're walking about the Earth, even if we're studied, even if we're very, very highly trained in the sciences, like every single astronaut is, like Reed Wiseman is, even if we're extremely studied in the study of nature, we are surrounded by it everywhere we look. We are surrounded by that general revelation everywhere we look. And it's easy to understand, especially if we're highly evolved like we are, using a lefty or a secular framework for it. It's easy to see how you could get lost in the sauce of general revelation, especially if you're not even giving the time of day to special revelation, which is God revealing himself through Scripture. But even if you're highly trained, highly studied in the sciences, the experience of seeing all that it is that you've ever studied being encapsulated and being able to be blotted out with your thumb, that's like getting punched in the face with general revelation. God revealing himself through nature. And that nature you can block out with your thumb. And it does hit you how special this place is. That's my working hypothesis for why even in recent days we've had astronauts and Katy Perry, whatever she is, space cadet, why they have all come away from space at various distances with the exact same reflection. That it was a spiritual experience. And I think it's a spiritual experience because it's like getting hit in the face, punched in the face with that general revelation. When we come back tomorrow for Air Analysis at the end of the show, we'll have some housekeeping to take care of. We'll talk about all that in the news of the day tomorrow. I'm Aaron McIntyre, and this is the AM Update.